This article inverts the logic of the naturalistic fallacy. Instead of using ideas about what is natural to justify how human beings should organize themselves or redirect their society, it uses a biological concept to make the point that not even in nature one can expect for spontaneous forms of collaboration to be automatically balanced. Balanced in the sense of creating benefits, a distribution of benefits that is even and sustainable over the long term. The article systematically develops an analogy between symbiosis and what I call the humanitarian marketplace. That's the title. The humanitarian marketplace includes all of those awkward, ambivalent hybrids that have been popping up during the last 2 decades, like volunteer tourism, corporate social responsibility, social entrepreneurship, venture philanthropy, brand aid, fair trade, social microcredit, and so on. An angle to grasp what this article can contribute to its readership is the one of economic anthropology. If we take the famous typology made by Karl Polanyi in the 1940s, where he talks about the basic universal principles of human economies, as he talks about the principle of redistribution of reciprocity and of market exchange. And he also adds the one of householding, although it's not usually taken into account by economic anthropologists. Once you read the article, you will see that symbiosis offers a completely new category that is irreducible to either a principle based on solidarity, or at least fully intentional solidarity, or at least not just based on that, or irreducible also to principle of self-interest, and even irreducible to the idea of gift exchange, which has elements of both self-interest and other-oriented interest. One of the most interesting points is that I think the article makes is that we can't speak of exchange as such when we're talking about a symbiosis between two different species, because the species can be, for example, a certain species of ants, and then on the other side, species of trees, like the acacia trees, which allows ants to come into, not intentionally, but it has these hollow twigs that match perfectly the head shape of certain species of ants. And in that way, they create a symbiotic relationship. And we cannot really speak of exchange as such in that case. One final perspective that I want to give you on how this article could contribute something meaningful to the literature in general of social and even political theory is the one of power. I'm thinking of modern power in terms of biopolitics and governmentality. Symbiosis really allows us to envision something different to the biopolitical ideal of finding a spontaneous internal balancing dynamic within a population, like, for example, the idea of market equilibrium. Symbiosis creates a contrast with that ideal and shows us that we should, even if we're supporting spontaneous forms of collaboration, we shouldn't expect them to be automatically balanced, which, as I said at the beginning of the video. So what that means is that we need to embrace forms of intervention that really take responsibility over the judgment of why we are supporting certain types of symbiosis and we are not supporting others. And it has to be just a criterion of fairness as decided by us through deliberation. There is not really like a standard you can determine in advance in financial terms or statistical terms that will satisfy that. So that notion of intervention is at the end of the article conceptualized in terms of symbiopolitics. I hope you enjoyed.